Space Shuttle Endeavour, controlled by Commander Mark Polanski and pilot Doug Hurley, will end this backflip pretty much where they started it and move from there to a distance about 400 feet in front of the space station to begin the actual docking. That docking is scheduled for 12:55 p.m. Central Time. Space Shuttle Endeavour, according to the team here in the flight control room, is now back on the R-bar, that imaginary line between the International Space Station and the ground below. So that completes the rendezvous pitch maneuver. Shuttle and station now about 218 miles above the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Western Sahara.
Houston Endeavour, we can offer up KU for comm now if you'd like. And Endeavour, we'll take it.
With the rendezvous pitch maneuver done, the Space Shuttle Endeavour now moving to the point in front of the International Space Station on what's called the V-bar, where they'll get in place for the docking to move into the toward the Harmony Node 2 pressurized mating adapter. It's a view of Space Shuttle Endeavour from the International Space Station's cameras as it moves in for docking to the space station. Two vehicles are currently about 219 miles above the coast of Spain. Endeavour and the International Space Station now above the coast of France as Endeavour moves towards a point about 400 feet in front of the International Space Station. There they'll slow down and let the International Space Station catch up with them. The station will be moving at about 1/10 of a foot per second faster than the shuttle. So it'll be able to, or rather, Commander Mark Polanski will be able to carefully line up the ring of the orbiter docking system to the pressurized mating adapter on the station's Harmony node that it intends to dock to. He has about 3 inches of a margin as he does that, and has the option of stopping at about 30 feet away from this station for a final adjustment. This view from cameras on board the International Space Station shows the shuttle going behind the Kibo laboratory, which it is carrying the final piece of inside its cargo bay. Shuttle is bringing up the external facility for the Kibo complex at the space station. And once that's installed, the complex will be complete. Shuttle also contains a logistics module full of experiments to add to that external facility. On the external facility, they'll be exposed to the environment of space, which will allow scientists here on the ground to determine what effects that environment has on the experiments.
Endeavour Houston, you are go for docking. Endeavour copies, go for docking.
Capcom Greg Johnson reporting that the flight controllers here in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room have been polled by lead Space Shuttle Flight Director Paul Dye and given the go for docking. Flight controllers here in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room report that Endeavour is now about 170 feet away from the International Space Station. You can see the view from Endeavour in this sequential still video image. It's a still image being taken every few seconds and sent to the ground because video downlink is not currently available. But you can see that it's getting very close to the International Space Station. We'll be moving in steadily at this point to a range of 30 feet, where Commander Mark Polanski has the option of taking a quick break to make sure that everything is correctly aligned before he moves in for the final push to dock to the International Space Station at its pressurized mating adapter on the Harmony node. Docking scheduled for 12:55 p.m. Central Time. And then after a leak check, the hatches between the two vehicles are scheduled to open around 2:43 p.m.
Okay, you think in 1843? Okay.
If he wants to do that, then just let us know. We will work on setting it up.
Okay, go for that.
Equals flight. Righty. Yes, we think we know what happened with WPA. Looks like we did have a leak in the tank. Our procedure has us do a couple of other things, but since we know where the water went into the cabin and cleaned it up, I'd like to reactivate WPA and then subsequently reactivate UPA. Obviously on total non-interference basis with stacking. I just want to at least get WPA so it's receiving water, because right now the condensate bus isn't putting it anywhere.
Okay, let's see WPA.
Video coming from the centerline camera set up inside the window of the Space Shuttle Endeavour's hatch, as it is being carefully lined up by Commander Mark Polanski as he moves in towards the International Space Station, again planning to dock to the Harmony node's pressurized mating adapter at 12:55 p.m. Central Time. Endeavour now about 85 feet away from the International Space Station, closing at a rate of 1/10 of a foot per second, letting the International Space Station catch up with it as it orbits about 217 miles above China in front of the space station. Commander Mark Polanski carefully aligning Space Shuttle Endeavour to the pressurized mating adapter on the station's Harmony node as it moves in, currently about 75 feet in front of the International Space Station. Polanski's controlling it from the aft flight deck inside the shuttle's cabin, but using this view from the centerline camera that's been set up inside the shuttle's hatch on the other side of the orbiter docking ring that will make the first initial contact to the pressurized mating adapter when it does dock. Shuttle's running a little ahead of schedule. Docking planned for 12:55, but may come a little bit earlier than that. Space Shuttle Endeavour just passed the 50-foot point on their way to the International Space Station. Once they reach 30 feet away from the space station, Commander Mark Polanski will have a chance to stop and make sure everything's lined up before he moves in for the final docking. He has a margin of about 3 inches to get the orbiter's docking ring connected to the pressurized mating adapter.
On the big loop, check hot mic.
Commander Mark Polanski reached the point of 34 feet away from the International Space Station and stopping to get everything aligned before he moves in those final 30 feet. Shuttle and station are currently About 213 miles over the Philippine Islands.